Mic check, 1 2 1 2, and we are live for, I'm trying to get my chat screen up here, episode 47 of the Sunday afternoon sessions where we talk Atlas Earth. Thanks for dropping by. As always, I do appreciate you supporting my channel and look forward to this chat on a weekly basis. So let's go ahead and dive into chat. It has been an interesting week as we have started off February and we have the Super Bowl here in the United States tomorrow, which I don't really have a team I'm rooting for. In fact, I probably won't even watch the game, although I did take the opportunity to order some wings from a place on the AMP program. So I got to pass an AMP challenge, and I also have some good wings coming, and I got some Atlas bucks out of it. So that's my what I'm going to be doing this weekend. I'll probably be in here on the computer versus watching the Super Bowl, though. It used to be like if they weren't really your team, you watched for the commercials, but now you kind of see, if you're online, you see the commercials ahead of time, so it's not really any big thing anymore. And I just feel like the Super Bowl commercials used to be a big thing, but they're just not really a big thing anymore. And I'm not a fan of the Seahawks or of definitely not New England. So I'm an old-time Colts fan, and whenever I was growing up, it was a big rivalry between the Colts and the Patriots. So definitely not I'm not going to be watching the game. Either way, shout out to Atlas Earth, who has, if you've been paying attention, will be having a special 5-hour version of the SRB today, which is going to start in about an hour, 58 minutes. So if you kind of looked ahead, you could have just like not boosted and saved up your boost, so they would count as super rent boosts. That's not very easy to say, but like I boosted when I got up this morning at 8, and then I boosted the right amount of hours so that I will be without boost for about 8 minutes, but then the super rent boost will kick in and I'll be able to get some, although it's not going to be enough to pass the first challenge, but it is what it is. But let's go ahead and see what everybody's up to today. Tips and Tricks is in the house. Welcome. Thanks for dropping by. Hey, Poker Mouse is here from the UK. It says, afternoon bronze, just caught up with the member stream. Very enjoyable and very sorry that I missed it. Looking forward to February's. Yeah, I think what we're going to do is we're just going to make the last Friday in the month, and it's going to be 7 p.m. Eastern time. And for those wondering, it's my monthly members only stream. And it's just kind of a way to say thank you to the members, and we just chit chat about different things. It's not necessarily about games. It could be about a variety of other things. Just keeping it nice chit chat and discussion about whatever anybody wants to talk to. But it's a benefit of being a member and support the channel. YouTube has kind of forced us in this direction by paying less for advertisements. So the members definitely help the channel out. So it's just me, doing a little something extra. So that will be the last Friday of the month, and it will be 7 p.m. Eastern time. So if you want to plan, it's always great to hear from everybody. Hey, Big Rich is in the house with the super chat. Thank you very much, Big Rich. If you got something you want to chat about, just let me know, and we will switch over to it. Thanks for supporting the channel, as always. I do appreciate it. And so that would mean, I'm just pulling up my calendar, February's will be on the 27th that evening. So Friday is about the only night I have during the week that I can do an extra live stream. So that's why it's on a Friday night. Poker Mouse says, just managed to get to the top 1,500 on fishing. Nice. Not managed to do better for a few weeks. It's a little annoying. Some players at the top with impossible game counts can only hope powers that. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people talk about it, and all I can say about that is if you see something that looks like it's cheating, just take a screenshot and report it, because I'm guessing that they're looking into the people. That's what we're told, and hopefully, and I've heard that some people have been banned because obviously you can. I've seen screenshots where they've been playing for like 15 minutes and then somebody's had some obnoxious like 40 wins or something. That's almost impossible. That's impossible, right? So all I can say is if you see somebody, it's just very clear that these people are cheating, then take a screenshot and report them, and they will hopefully be looked into. That's about all I can say, but I can understand that that is very frustrating. I don't really play to compete, and it seems like when I do, I don't I don't win anything anyway. So it's just frustrating to me too. So my usual thing is just playing the games to pass the challenges. Now I do play. I don't just open them up and watch the ad. I do compete, but I know that I'm only going to play a certain amount of games depending upon what pops up on my challenge ladder, right? So, which at this point in time, my challenge ladder is mostly games, waiting for them. Azore High is here. Welcome. Thanks. Hope I didn't mispronounce that. Welcome to the chat. Mustang is here. Mustang 73. I never know on people's YouTube names when to say that last number because some people actually want the number in their name, and sometimes people have a YouTube name and YouTube just actually slaps a random number on the end of it. So Mustang 73 says, good morning from British Columbia. Well, welcome. What's the temperature up there? It is pretty frosty for the Philadelphia area. It was like 4 or 5 Fahrenheit here, or not? Yeah, Fahrenheit. I know I have a diverse crowd here, so I want to make sure that I'm specific on what I'm saying. 4 or 5 Fahrenheit here, which I'm not exactly sure what converts to Celsius, but it was pretty frosty this morning. It's a nice day. It's very sunny. There's probably still about a foot of snow on the ground here, but it's a nice day, but very cold. And we got to keep an eye on our dog. We don't want to leave her out for too long, right? So Poker Mouse goes on to say, looking very forward to today's edition of 7 o'clocks on the Dragon's Den Classics. If anybody has not listened to her, please take your time to listen to it on YouTube. Very well read voice book to listen. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Yes, our new episodes on the Dragon's Den Classics come out at noon Eastern time on our other YouTube channel. And we're getting towards the very pinnacle of the story in this Agatha Christie novel. So, looking forward, and actually we're starting to research our next book. So, all help in listening to the episodes, giving likes and all that thing would help us out. So I appreciate you bringing that up, Poker Mouse. Poker Mouse says, what's the time in Canada? It's 5 p.m. in the UK. Well, it's noon here on Eastern time. So obviously Canada's a big place, just like the U.S. is. So we have many different time zones. So it just depends upon where you are. Eastern time, it's just afternoon here. So Poker Mouse says, on the challenge ladder, mini games are killing me. I am... A lot of my challenge ladder is currently mini games, sitting on mini games. And to tell you the truth, I've had a few mini games that have popped up 3 levels back to back this month. And by the time I get to the 3rd level, I'm like, oh God, I got to do another 20. After that, I just can't do it. If another one pops up, I can't do it. So you can see currently I'm at golf 20, and that's because this last time I didn't get the full 20 in. I only got 14. I still need to do some fishing. Of course, Super Rent Boost is sitting there at 10. Not going to do book travel. I'm not going to do purchase city badge. I'm not going to do purchase state badge. I got warship at 20, bowling at 20, racing at 20, And of course, I got another AMP mission. I've already completed like 3 AMP missions this week or this month so far. And I know if you're outside the United States, you don't want to hear about that, but I'm just being real on how I'm completing this. I'm thinking about doing another video and taking another look at this whole challenge ladder overall and how it's changed over the last year, more than a year now that it's been going on, and how it's, it went from really hard to pretty easy to gradually getting harder and harder and harder. And there's definitely going to be a value proposition there where at a certain point it becomes too hard, and a certain percentage of people that play the game aren't going to want to subscribe. So I'm thinking about taking a look at that. Also, just as a little teaser, I'm taking a look at another platform. Since not a whole lot's going on in Atlas Earth currently, I wanted to take a look at another one of these play-to-earn platforms that we talk about a lot, but I haven't participated in a lot. One came up at the beginning of the year, and I started seeing advertisements about it, and it was one that previously had just been on, hadn't been on iOS, but it is now on iOS. So I'm playing through it a little bit and kind of fleshing it out a little bit before I do a video on it. But my whole goal is to use that platform to earn at least $10 a month to be able to subsidize my challenge ladder subscription in Atlas Earth. So that's the idea before that, about that, and that's just a little bit of a teaser. So I do like to put a little bit of effort into these types of things and see what they're about before I actually do a video on it, though. So. And if anybody's interested, if anybody has a PlayStation 3, I just put out a video that went live this morning, how to change the battery in your controller, if you're interested. That's a little pluggy plug. Eric Wang's in the house. Welcome. Poker Mouse says, just past the 800 parcels. My first year is approaching fast. Where everyone else? Yeah, well, let us know when you hit that year how things are going. Jay Long, welcome. Just became a member for 3 months. Thanks. I appreciate it. The memberships help support the channel. And Jay Long said, let's see here, just made it to savings mode, 150 parcels and 11 badges. Sweet. So you picked up that 10% badge boost. Nice. It's always nice to see your progression. It takes a while to, work your way through it. And when you hit different increments in the game, it just feels really nice to actually be there. You can see that I bought some parcels this week just to kind of progress through the purchase parcel challenges. And currently I am at, if you are interested, I'm at 1,890 parcels. And I'm slightly above average with legendaries because I've put some LPUs down. But everything else, common, slightly above average, and rare and epic are slightly below average. But where I'm standing is about $1.75 a day or so, or $53 a month. So that's where I'm standing if you are interested. Okay, let's see. Let's go back. I know I'm a little bit back. I'm trying to go faster with chat and stay up with chat, but it's kind of hard since I like to talk about the different topics people are bringing up. Brandtastic is here, says the Venomized Brandtastic is here. Oh, you put in a new profile pic with part Venom. Those movies are, I guess, funny. Yeah, the Venom movies. Design Intent Studios are here. Greetings to you as well. Need to move my chat window over a little bit. DV419's in the house. Welcome. Southern Coin Hunters here. Hello all. Sitting with 5 challenges left. Sitting at 2,548 Atlas bucks. I've got a decent amount. I think 4,375. I'm looking at the screen there. And I'm hoping that every time I do an AMP mission, I was hoping that a purchase parcel mission would pop up behind it, but it just seems like another AMP mission pops up. So I think that they have just those lined up together. Not Terces is here. Welcome. The Investor. Hi, sir. After your stream, I'm going to drive Out of my city to my first tier jump, as I mentioned last week, and grabbed the first mayorship. Nice. Will the current one uh, be notified I grabbed his place? Yes. When you take over as mayor, the person who has the mayorship or governorship or presidentship is alerted, gets a little alert that somebody took over their mayorship. So that's why I always say when you take over a mayorship, make sure you have a little bit of a cushion going on. So it's kind of a mental thing because they see that, oh, somebody took it over. They took it over only by 1 or 2 parcels. Oh, I'll go over there and I'll take it back. But if you took it over by 20 parcels or 25 parcels or 50, the more parcels it takes to take it, you need a bigger cushion, right? So this gives them a moment of pause. So instead of just automatically going and taking it back from you, they have to think, do I want to spend 25 parcels to take this back? So it's a whole thought process. It's like a mental thing, So good luck, though. Cave Dwellers is here. Good morning to you as well. Poker Mouse says, don't forget to like and subscribe. You got that right. Like and subscribe. Do all that YouTube stuff. I appreciate it. Actually, we talked about this last week about the referral program being completely shut off in Atlas Earth. I've been having to go back through 550 plus videos I've done on Atlas Earth, and they do have a tool in YouTube that where you can remove certain verbiage from all of your YouTube video descriptions, but it doesn't seem to work exactly. So I'm having to go through every single video and remove that referral code. But the new the new platform I'm looking at, and I'll be doing a video on this week, does have a referral code. So if you're interested, you can hit me up on that too. So Andy Brock says, hey, Bronze, glad to catch you live. You are a huge help to newcomers. Just want to say thanks. Well, thanks to you too. Hope you're enjoying the game. Glad to have you in chat. It's always good. The more people here, better conversation, right? Lady Sharon's here, says, good morning. At 475 points, I was trying to get my short done before your live stream, but I kept messing it up. I just uploaded it, ready for the Super Rent Boost. Okay, so what she's referring to is she's streaming another game. As far as I know, the short would be on Splinterlands, but she could be streaming, doing content on Atlas Earth. So Lady Sharon's our new content creator in the house. So check her out if you want to see some different content. But that's what she's referring to. And yes, I agree. Editing takes a little bit of getting used to, and it's just one of those things that you get better at over time. And as you create content, you learn things to do in a different way that makes it easier for you when you actually edit. But good luck with that. Mustang 73 says, I've got a road trip to do as I have just reached 150 parcels. Yeah, I remember that one. It took my wife and I like 3 hours of driving around I had saved up to buy all the way to the 15% badge boost. And it was like 3 hours of driving around to get badges. It's easier now, though, with the map. Back then, we didn't have the map, and we just had to, randomly drive to different towns around us and hope there was a new badge. So I love the map for that. Poker Mouse says, started a few hours ago in UK. Oh, as far as your SRB, yeah, I would assume that. All these things we talk about and we put times on in Atlas Earth, it's going to be different for everybody in different time zones. So you got to take that into account. So, the UK is about 5 hours ahead of us here on the East Coast. I know I have some people I work with in the UK that we have to, it's kind of interesting when you work with people from around the world. Like I also have people that I work from in Germany and also in India. And you just have to really take schedules into account, especially when you're trying to schedule meetings and get everybody there, which this is just basically a weekend meeting, right? So, but I do appreciate it. And I know that, this is later on and, approaching dinner time over there. So I appreciate your time as always. Lady Sharon says, I have it down to pretty much minutes so that I can do the whole thing during the time. 5 to 6 boost right at the beginning and then the rest at the end before it's done. I don't know how you're going to do that, but good luck. I'll be completely out, and I'll be able to do 5 boosts or 6 boosts, and that'll take 6 hours, and then there'll be 2 more. So that will be theoretically, no, it's only 5. This is only a 5-hour super rent boost. Now, you got me thinking about numbers now. So it's only a 5-hour boost. So right after we're done here, right around 1 o'clock, I might have to do it while we're on and do my boosts. That'll be the full 5, which will take us through the full SRB, and then it just switches off. So I don't know. We'll see. Report back on what you find, Sharon, or what happens to you. Natural Search is here. Says, yeah, I run out of boost 10 minutes before SRB. Same thing about here. The Cave Dweller says, I see you had to do some maintenance on your DualShock. Yeah, I put a video out on the DualShocks that came with the PS3 I bought a couple weeks ago. They were holding, I would get into gaming and they would game for like 10 to 15 minutes. And then the batteries would run out. So I'm like, well, I got to replace the batteries. Might as well do a video on how to replace the batteries, just in case you're interested. I'm also going to have to do them on PS4 controllers, but it's basically the same process. A little bit different insides and different battery models and everything. But Brandtastic says, are you going to use some of your rent to do any sports betting? No, I don't bet. I'm not really a gambler. About the most you could consider kind of gambling is me playing Web3 games. I do heavily play Splinterlands, and I play the land game where I have, just like in Atlas Earth, I own land and it produces different materials and I sell that. But I don't really consider that gambling. I'm not a guy that goes and gambles on something. I know we have a rash, metric butt ton of gambling apps now. We all see the advertisements, and even, you know what bugs me really bad? It doesn't really bug me, the ones that say gambling, they're from a casino, that's right. But these other 2 or 3, and we all know who I'm talking about, these apps that are gambling apps, but they call them make predictions. You listen to it and it's gambling. Make predictions on who's going to score more points. That's called gambling. But that really bugs me. Sorry, it's a hot button item. I don't gamble. I don't have anything against it if you want to throw your paycheck away. I just have games and stuff I spend my money on. I just spend my money on other stuff. Games and hobbies. Photography, guitars, and gaming. That's me. That's me in a nutshell. So, Southern Coin Hunter says, my current boost runs out 5 minutes before SRB. Well, you've got it. Basically had the same idea I did. Brandtastic says, I'm not a sports fan nor a sports bettor. I'm more into college football. I'm a big Notre Dame football fan. And I love to see what IU did this year. But otherwise, the professional scene, I'm not really into it. I used to be, but not really into it. I spend my time. You got to ration your time. Time is the one thing. It's like gold. You only have so much of it in your life, and you just have to ration it out. And sitting in the front of the TV is, now, while I like watching a good movie, and on the weekend I do try to sit down and watch a good movie with my wife and daughter. Over dinner last night, we watched a movie from the early 80s. It was a Sherlock Holmes flick, The Sign of the Four. It was a good movie. So we like mysteries around our house, especially me and my daughter. I think my wife just maybe does it because we like it, but we like Agatha Christie, we like Sherlock Holmes, that kind of stuff. So I do try to watch a good movie on the weekends, but every other night we just watch like half-hour worth of shows while we're eating, and then I'm back on the computer. So Big Rich is here, as always, says, afternoon, much love from the UK. Well, thanks, Rich. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate you spending your evening time here. The Cave Dweller says, Dragon, would you ever consider, or already are, multi-streaming to Twitch? Prime members could sub to you over there as well. I have considered it. Let me take a drink here. I'm getting parched. I've got a little. I like what they call here in the States an Arnold Palmer, which is half iced tea and half lemonade. I like that. So I got that with a little bit of energy drink mix in it, in case you're wondering. I had considered, and in fact, I have a channel on Twitch. I just don't do anything on it much. I wanted to put all my time and effort into YouTube to grow my community here, and I felt that multi-streaming to Twitch may have just broken up my community, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. But that's why I didn't continue doing that. So I have thought about it. I just am not doing it. Yeah, that's the basic answer. The investor says, I don't know if I'll be able to grab the free badge when the challenges are over, but I love that it's showing when February 2026 you got it instead of a number. Yeah, I love that. I love that. I love that change this month. Now I'm trying to pull it up here. What he's talking about, he or she is talking about, is, oh, I hit the wrong one. Is the fact that the new badge it is around the holiday, and it says something about the month, but it also has something other than just a number, which was kind of generic, right? So I do agree with you. Thank you for bringing that up. It's one of those things that I had thought about bringing up and I just forgot. Brandtastic says, do you watch basketball or baseball? No, not really. I don't mind a good basketball game once in a while, but I'm not one of those guys that sits in front of the channel, sits in front of the TV on a nightly basis and watches ESPN. That's just not me. I sit in front of my computer doing stuff for the channel. Lady Sharon says the Super Bowl is today, not tomorrow. Yeah, that's right. It is today. It is Sunday. I was thinking back to we were streaming yesterday. Yeah, it is a Super Bowl Sunday today, and I need to remember to pick up my wings at 5. So Natural Search says, would like to see wins and losses so we can see how many games they get into. Oh, yeah, that would be nice. I'm sure they can see that on the backside. I couldn't, and it may take some more work to get in and look at those win-loss ratios. But I'm assuming from an R&D, from a testing perspective, that they could go in on the backside and look at pull the data from a person's account, right, and look at that, how many wins, how many losses, they have. But I think it's a lot harder to prove what is most likely happening, which is the skipping of the ads. And that is what is making, and or the account just being run by a bot, So there's lots of possibilities, but the thing is they have to be able to prove these beyond a shadow of a doubt before they go and they take action on it, right? And you got to be careful from a company perspective, from an HR and a PR perspective, that you don't want to put out too much information on a person. Although I think the wins-loss ratio would be a number that wouldn't be. I think it would just have to be programmed in so that it showed. Trying to pull my phone back up here. I don't think that would lead to like a too much personal information type of thing. The Southern Coin Hunter says, Big Rich says, enjoying the content. I really am happy I finally caught a live stream. Thanks. Southern Coin Hunter says, I saw someone with 54 wins in the bowling in the first 30 minutes of the mini game starting. Yeah, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. Something that is impossible to do. Even with skipping of ads, that seems very much impossible. So it's something that is being botted, and there's something else going on in the background. Yeah, all I can say is take a screenshot and some screenshots to prove what you're talking about and submit it for them to be looked at. Hakakai says, if the app shut down tomorrow, would you feel responsible for encouraging playing Atlas Earth by having this channel? I would not, because I always talk about it as playing as a game. I still have fun playing with it as a game. I'm always very clear. You can ask anybody that's been on this channel for any amount of time that I talk about it as a game. In all of my videos, if you look in the description, I'm not encouraging this as a investment or nothing. You know, yeah, there is a fair amount of time you put into this, but there's a lot of these play to earn platforms now that basically pay you for your time because you're watching advertisements, you're playing games. All of it boils down to advertisements. I've done tons of videos about it and we've talked about it forever. So everybody should be clear on what this game is about. And I'm not, I don't feel bad about talking about it, you know, because I think it's a fun game. I think it's interesting that the first few changes they've made in the game this year have basically, in my view, been cost-cutting measures, which, you know, from a business perspective, you have to continually take cost-cutting measures from a business perspective to keep your business lean and trim and running correctly. But with that said, several of them I think could have been handled better. They could have had better PR about it, you know, and I'm directly, you know, kind of comparing it to the other big game I play, which is Splinterlands. You know, they have a monthly live stream where they just talk about everything. They lay out the roadmap, what they're doing the next month. They answer questions, everything. And I'm not saying there's two big differences. That's a Web3 game. This is not, right? But it's the way the PR is held for the company, and it's letting the people know how the game is doing. So am I saying Atlas Earth is perfect? No. In fact, there's several things that they've done this month, that this first couple months of the year, that could have been handled a lot better. But will I feel bad about talking about Atlas Earth? No, because I'm always very clear that this is a game. Play it as a game. If you choose to invest a bunch of money in it, that's on you, because I am in the green. You know, except for maybe my time, because I do spend a lot of time on it, even considering the stuff I do for YouTube, right? But I'm in the green. I play in the green. I'm at more than, let's see here, 772. I think I'm at like $550 made profit off of the game. So I don't feel I don't feel like I'm lying to anybody. I do feel like I have to keep working on getting my referral code, which I'm still sorry about, because that gave me an extra incentive to do videos about this, because it did help me out, you know, and I haven't lied about that to anybody. So, okay. Mustang said +5 Celsius over there. Or maybe you converted it, or that's where what your temperature is. Design Intent Studio says Chicago has a heat wave, 27 Fahrenheit. The big reason why I'm worried about the cold is I just don't want to leave my dog out for too long, right? If you've got a pet, unless you've got like a husky or something like that, you've got to be very aware of the temperature, and not, especially if they're an inside dog, not expose them to the raw temperatures. I went out to get my mail yesterday, and the wind was gusting, and it's just like one of those days that you'd hurry up, just walk down to the road, get the mail, and come back really fast, because you don't want to be out in that. The wind was cutting to the bone. Brandtastic says the 07 in Brandtastic 07 is for a year I graduated high school, never intended to go to college. College is not for Down syndrome. That's interesting. That's interesting. A lot of people like to include numbers in their game names for like important years, like the year you graduated or the year you were born or something like that. But I would be careful, because from a security standpoint, people looking to take over your account look for these little details, because now they know that you graduated high school in 07. And there's a lot of different social engineering type things that people can do with these little details. And you see these questions on like social media, X and Twitter and stuff like that. And people are posting videos, but then they'll like, hey, what high school are you from? They're just trying to gain knowledge about you to kind of cross engineer to sometimes take over your accounts, right? So be very careful about putting your numbers out there. Poker Mouse says, yes, extra SRB is looking great. And the cave dwellers say, I barely completed last month myself. I think I completed mine on the 22nd. Now, keep in mind, February has 2 fewer days, right? So, kind of take that for what it's will. And I don't know if they took that into account when they were modifying the challenges for this month. I would hope so. They would take that into account, but I'm not holding my breath, which means that there'll be fewer people complete the challenges this month. I am not complete. Let's see where I'm at. I think I'm just below 1,100 points. That's where I'm sitting currently. But like I said, I've done several buys for Atlas Bucks, food and stuff. The investor says it's negative 19 Celsius in QC, but felt like negative 29. Yeah, that was like here yesterday. It was so windy. The wind chill just cuts through you. I couldn't imagine. It was very cold here, and I understand people in Canada, you're like, oh, that's nothing, and people in the States who live in Wisconsin, yeah, it's great, but it's still cold. Cold is cold, right? And you just have to modify your behavior and not go out so much, or when you do go out, be very wrapped up. Evolution Creator says, I have 0 diamonds. Can you give me a few, please? Well, no, unfortunately, you can't do that in the game. I would say go take a drive with somebody. If your mom, dad, significant other is driving to I almost said drive to the mall, but people don't go to the mall anymore, do they? Driving to the store, just go with them and sit and pick up diamonds along the way, or if you don't have a car, take a bus ride or a train ride, and go treat yourself to a lunch and pick up diamonds along the way. Lady Sharon says, now that's interesting. I have been getting just to the second tier of each group, and I figured it was because I finished an arcade goal early on. It sounds like if you do a little more. Don't remember what you're referring to there. Natural Search says, nothing in the AMP missions around me and nothing on the websites. I won't even... the $8 Atlas Earth sticker. I won't even buy that. The sticker costs $8. I haven't bought anything on the Atlas Earth website in a while. I think the last thing I bought, I gave a coffee cup away at like Christmas time or something, and sent it to a person on the chat. That's the last purchase I made. Lady Sharon says, like the AMP mission, that it has a chance to go to that tier. Oh, I see what you mean, which is what you're experiencing. Yeah, in the past, we talk about the challenge ladders broken down, and you mostly have the mini games, which is a big portion, right? Let's open up, in fact, as a visual, let's do this. If you go to the Atlas Earth calculator, let's get rid of my phone here, and go to the challenge, you can see how everything is laid out for the month. He's keeping track of this. And in fact, he's got a giveaway going on if you want to go ahead and enter that up at the top. But you can see how the challenges, and I think in the past, largely the mini games have been backed up by each other. In other words, when you complete a mini game challenge, you get another mini game challenge when it pops up. Then I think I'm not sure exactly where the travel is backed up behind, because I've never completed the travel program. But the other challenges, which I consider more heavily weighted with points because they cost more, like purchase parcel, like do surveys, like do arcade goals, and AMP program. They were kind of, from my eyes, maybe there was a little bit more alignment to it, but they were kind of all lined up. So maybe if you completed an amp, then behind that you could have gotten like a purchase parcel or something like that. But this last couple months, there must have been a change, because every time I complete an amp challenge, I only get another amp challenge behind it. So yeah, for what it's worth. I don't study it a whole lot. I just try to charge through it. Poker Mouse says, Hakakai Bronze never tells you to do anything. He ever only tells you your options and sometimes his own views. Yeah, I mean, my whole goal for this channel was to put out as much information I could find out about the game, and also include how I'm doing it. You know, you don't have to follow how I'm doing it, but you can, if you want to make a logical decision about anything in life, you have to go out and look at facts and opinions from various sources, then make up your own mind, right? So whenever I started this channel, there was very few. There's Pharaoh Silver that was doing some episodes on Atlas Earth, but there was very few other people that were doing any information on the game, right? So that's why I came out. And I can understand some people might think, I've had some people get mad at me because evidently they've had bad, something bad happened with them in the game. There's a few people that started trashing me on my comments. And I have, over the years, I have like banned people from my channel, very few people, because there's a difference between expressing your opinion and then getting on somebody's comments and trashing them. You know what I mean? But I have this big feeling that there's several of them that had gotten banned from Atlas Earth, and they had bad feelings for the game. So therefore they had bad feelings for me. And they came on my channel and started trashing me. So they got banned from my channel, right? Or they got hidden. That's the word. It's hidden. So whenever they make comments, I usually don't ban or hide anybody without good reason. You come on my comments and you start cursing and start calling me names, and guess what? You're going to get hidden. You know, I don't consider that constructive criticism. So, but I'm a big boy. I can take constructive criticism as long as it doesn't involve name calling and stuff like that. Crypto Limbo says, "Hey Dragon, love the stream." Well, thanks, appreciate it as always. Poker Mouse says, "Bronze, I watched the PlayStation first clip today. Nice. Now you know how to change the battery in a controller." And it's basically the same for most of the controllers, to tell you the truth. If you happen to have an Xbox or something like that, it's a lot the same. But I just found it interesting, and you know, I've been repairing laptops and stuff like that for years, so something I can get into. I know it's not going to get a ton of video views, but it's what I call evergreen content. It's out there. If somebody a year from now is trying to replace the battery in their controller, it'll be there for them, right? Oki USN says, "Good morning. Late to the party. Hope you're doing well." Well, I hope you're doing well as well. Doing well as well. David says, "You are no longer the mayor of Carlisle." I never was the mayor of Carlisle. I'm a mayor of 4 different places around here. I did lose one here a couple weeks ago, but I'm not retaking that. I've just been reinforcing the mayorships I have here that yield. That's another question that a lot of people will ask me. It's like, what do you concentrate on? Well, if you get a mayorship taken and it never really yielded you any Atlas bucks as far as badge payouts, then you're thinking to yourself, well, should I just go ahead and use my parcels to reinforce the mayorships that I do have that are yielding, you know? So I let that go. Maybe down the road I'll take it back over just to have it, but currently I am reinforcing my mayorships that do give me Atlas bucks as far as badge sales goes. Hakuna Matata to you, Bronze Dragon. Well, Hakuna Matata to you as well. Oh, speaking of that, that's kind of got cartoons in my head. I loved the Muppet Show this week. Wednesday, they showed the Muppet Show, and it did well enough. It got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. Hardly anything gets 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. I loved it. It was a throwback to my kids' days. I loved watching the Muppet Show on a weekly basis when I was a kid. And they did it well. I had my fingers crossed. I was hoping that they wouldn't ruin it. They did it very well, and it's going to be live on. Of course, it's a streaming service, but if you have Disney Plus, you can now watch the Muppet Show. Love it. The two guys up in the box are my favorite. Right. Poker Mouse says, glad you mentioned mayorship. I lost a mayorship and hadn't noticed and spotted it Friday, so I had to drive over and retake the mayorship to be nice to have a permanent link message if you lose a mayorship. Yeah, I think they just give you the one-time pop-up and then it's on you. But to tell you the truth, I open up the map in Atlas Earth every few days and just make it kind of a thing to spin around my mayorships and just double check that I'm still mayor. Also, you can look at on your on your main page that I show here. On your main page, if you scroll down, why does this keep flipping back? If you scroll down, it'll show you your mayorships, right? So you can look at that whenever you open up your phone and see if you lost one. Brandtastic says, is there a time zone calculator anywhere online? Yeah, sure. All you have to do is punch it into Google, and Google will convert it for you. Say, what is noon EST in UTC or whatever you're looking for to. You can even say, what is noon in New York? What is what do I want to say here? What is the time in England when it's noon in New York? And make a statement like that in Google and it'll convert it for you. But I can tell you right now, there's 5 hours difference. JPS316 says, has anyone been having issues downloading new games and having them to link? No, but myself, no. But overall, yes, that's a common problem people have. And I would say this is a decent thing that we can talk about. Let me see. Let me punch over to Arcade. And I'll just tell you some notes. It may help. It may not. But when you're in the Arcade, what I do is say I wanted to download Solitaire Smash. I would play now. It would say double click. I would install it, and then it would come up and it would give you 2 messages. And one of the messages, will you allow this to be tracked across other applications on your phone? You have to click yes on that. Okay. Now, the second one is, do you want update messages or notifications? You don't have to click yes on that. And I click no every time to reduce the spam. Now, what I do when I download a game is I download it and I play through the first level. Okay? Get that first level done. And then I come back here and I click on the My Apps button here. And then what I do is I see if the game came over into My Apps. If it didn't, then a lot of times I will go back to the game and I'll play through to whatever the first increment is, like level 5 or whatever the first increment to receive a prize is. And then I'll come back to My Apps. If it still hasn't noticed it, then I will turn off my phone and turn it back on, allowing it to jump back on the network and see, and then I'll open up Atlas Earth and I'll open up that game. And if it still doesn't notice it, then I'll just delete the game and go on to the next one. Because frankly, you can put in a ticket, but there's not a whole lot they can do for you. You do have to allow the tracking. Otherwise, then it won't be able to track it, right? But besides that, if you're running into a continual problem with the Arcade, you definitely need to put in a ticket so that they can investigate. And I'm saying a ticket with Atlas Earth, not with the company that runs the Arcade, right? So to answer you, I have problems once in a while with Arcade games, right? So it's it's kind of common to like not get an award or something or other, then you have to put in a ticket, and they're usually pretty spot on getting you rewarded, and they can even click it off on your challenge ladder. But another thing that pops up is that little red message. You go to download a game and you get this red message. I don't have a clip of it, but you know what I mean. It says, you cannot be rewarded for this game. And I know very well that I've never downloaded that game and played it before. I don't know what that's linked to, but that's another common problem. So yeah, so it is a problem. It's just that there are bugs in the arcade, how it works. And like I said, if it doesn't come over within the first like 5 levels, then I just stop wasting time with it and go on to the next one. Decave Dweller says, wait, you can get more SRB. It starts. Do 5 and 1 per hour. I'll try. We'll see how it goes. But you're right. It's possible. We'll see. But we have about 10 minutes left before that goes active. Lady Sharon says, as long as you're boosting during the super rent boost, it counts, or at least it has in the past. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Annalise says, it's the boost clicks during the SRB. Of course, I don't know if it will unlock the next SRB tier in time for Thursday. Well, usually I'm able to get, on one SRB, I'm able to get level 1 and level 2 done. As long as you pay attention and you're boosted, which if you're playing the game, you should be paying attention and doing all your SRB boosts, because there's a lot of money behind that, right? So, Decave Dweller says, don't drink too much. You'll quench your parch and need the water closet, especially with Arnold Palmer. Yeah, I'm fine there. Andy Brock says, like the Atlas Earth shirt, I got the hoodie. Yeah, this is one of my Atlas Earth shirts. I like them. They're good feeling t-shirts. They're not too thin. They're nice and soft. So I'm not really a hoodie wearer. The only time I wear a hoodie is whenever I go out to shovel snow, and I have an insulated hoodie that I put on under my main coat. It's kind of like to protect my neck and everything, kind of like a makeshift scarf kind of thing. So Sharon's here. Sharon says, Sharon Schoenberg says, good afternoon. I just bought my 110th parcel. I've been playing Atlas Earth since October 2025 and having fun. Well, thanks for dropping by, Sharon. More the merrier. Brantastic says, consider doing a screenshot before and after the SRB event and calculate how much you made. Yeah, not worried about it. I've got the Atlas Earth calculator. It tells me what I should be making on a monthly basis. And I kind of do I remove rent twice a month. And I just kind of keep a mental total of what it is. And I actually can go into my PayPal and see how much I'm inserting from the game. So I'm keeping a running total like that. But a lot of these people that are calculating on a minute-to-minute basis, I don't need to know all that. I'm not that into the math. Andy Brock says, you got to watch some Arkansas Razorback basketball. Fun team to watch. You know what's a better team to watch? The Hoosiers. Bam, baby. I grew up watching the Hoosiers on play basketball, but I don't spend a whole lot of time watching sports anymore. Markham Travel and Cop Watch is here. Welcome. The Cave Dweller says, Bronze Dragon is always saying, so not invest in AE because it could end or change at any time. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Just because a game ends doesn't mean it was a scam, right? Games get turned off all the time. Games where you make money, games where you don't make money. Look in the gaming atmosphere, or I don't even know if that's the right word, but games get turned off all the time. They're businesses, okay, at the end of the day, that are owned by Atlas Earth is probably not owned by a huge conglomerate now, and I hope it's never owned by a huge conglomerate, because with the sell-off, usually that indicates bad things are going to happen to the game. But what I mean is, just because they turn off a game doesn't mean it was a scam or a rug pull. A lot of people like to throw these terms around that they don't really fully understand. Okay, so a business can continue as long as it's making profits, and as long as it's making the projected profits it needs to continue doing business and continue moving forward, improving and offering more and making their product better. And every business has a different viewpoint on that, right? We need to make 10% more this year, or whatever their goal is, right? And at a certain point, if they're not doing that, they need to make the decision to just turn it off, right? That doesn't mean it's a scam. It just means that business or that game has just run its lifespan, right? And that's the chief thing why I'm saying that I don't put a bunch of money into Atlas Earth. I put a bunch of time into it. I'll give you that. But I don't put a bunch of money into it, because at any point in time, Sami could come up and say, well, this is not meeting the financial considerations that we need to, so we're going to turn it off and go to the next thing, right? Of course, with how it goes, he probably wouldn't say anything, and we'd just wake up one day and the game would be off, right? So I'm just saying, don't be surprised, right? RetroCube is here, says, hey, Bronze Dragon, the Sherlock Holmes you watched, the Granada series with Jeremy Brett as Holmes, that's our favorite. We watched the Dancing Men episode yesterday. I have the series on VHS. That name sounds familiar. I had to go back and watch it. It struck me as an episode that was probably on PBS when I was a kid. It was listed as 1983. And like I said, it just seemed like an episode that would be on PBS when I was a kid, right? And we didn't get a great reception on PBS. This was just with back in the day when we just had a TV with an antenna, right? So I watched certain stuff when I could, like different things that would be on PBS. But I'm much more into the mysteries these days. The investor says, I'll grab only 17 parcels with the city badge, since I will make 1,900 Atlas bucks for after your stream. I got only one parcel to be mayor. I should be good enough, though. I think. Well, good luck with that. Brandon says, do you know if it's possible to change out the USB connector to another type of USB connectors like USB-C on a gaming console? Probably, but I would have to look into each situation. And you definitely would not see, there's different versions of the USB-C that accept power and don't accept power. You would probably need to use the USB-C that does not accept power. But like I said, each situation you'd have to look into it. Some of these old consoles, they make conversion kits up for the USB ports, for to replace some of the old video ports to HDMI. But you do have to know what you're doing as far as soldering on a motherboard. Otherwise, you could fry your motherboard. Ron Gill is here, says, I have a question. I do all the boosts, play all the games, have over 50 properties, also have 9 badges, yet to break $5. Well, here's the thing, Ron. It is a game that kind of moves in slow motion. And I mean by it just takes constant moving forward on a monthly basis. I've been playing almost 2 years now. Okay, and you can see where I'm at. It's kind of like a snowball moving downhill. At very first, it's very hard to see where your account is going. But as time goes along, you continually paying attention to what you're doing and continuing doing it. It continues just to mount up, and it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger over time. So I don't have a magic bullet for you. It just takes time and effort. and understanding this is all about marketing. You're spending a lot of time. They're paying. You're watching ads. You're doing this. You're doing that. You're turning around and you're earning Atlas bucks from doing various things in the game by doing surveys and playing games and such. I'm keeping an eye on the timer because I'm gonna have to pull this off and do my boosts. But it just builds up over time, right? Wow. I have to look at that name 2 times. Everpot Guider says, from South Africa, love your honest videos about this game, and you got me into it. Playing actively for 2 years, and now my game is paying for the passes. Nice. It feels good when, okay, I'm pulling this off to go ahead and do my boosts, and I need to make sure that my desktop audio is down so I don't blast you out with the audio. Okay. I did that the other day, I think on the last one, where I did an ad started running and I had my desktop audio up and it just blasted. Yeah, I started my first boost. Okay, that's why I took my phone off the screen. The Cave Dweller says, I'm on 620 visually, but not enough to unlock the rewards for 620. Big Rich says, quite annoyed that I fell asleep last night whilst boosting. When I woke this morning, I'd inadvertently converted all $19 in game cash to Atlas bucks. Wow. Yeah, I'll say this. You have to be very careful what you click on, especially if you're like me and you need some glasses and you don't see so well when you roll over in bed and grab your phone and you don't have your glasses on. You got to be very careful on that. Yeah. Unfortunately, once in a while we make a mistake and you just kind of learn from that and move forward and just make sure you don't do it again. I'm doing my super rent boost if you're wondering. The Cave Dweller says it's 52 here. Nice. The Cave Dwellers goes on to say, how is Colorado hotter than everywhere else? We're usually along the cold and snowy. Yeah. I think that Sharon is out in Colorado as well. Brandon says, I'm lucky enough to have my mailbox mounted to my house. I had that. We had a house mounted mailbox for a while when I was a kid. But then the mailman, the mail decided that we're no longer going to put mail up along the house. There's still some places like in the inner city and stuff like that where they have them and they have mailmen and women that just walk their route, which I wouldn't want to do in this weather. That's for sure. Monkey Jim says, have they changed the length of the SRB? It's a special 5-hour SRB for the Super Bowl. You got that list from, or that answer from Annalise. That's on top of the usual our usual 2 32-hour boosts. So just a little bit of something extra for the Super Bowl. And she said the other day she's trying to get it for the World Cup as well. We'll see. I guess it would be for the World Cup final though. So. For those of you who follow FIFA, RetroCube says, I like photography also, would like to get back into 35mm. I'm a Nikon guy. What's your brand preference when it comes to cameras? Well, we could do a whole show on this. I would say I'm a Canon person though. Although I have a whole host of cameras that would make everybody in this chat think I'm a certified photography addict, but I've got my main digital camera right now I use is a Canon, but I have a whole host of older film cameras that I do use from time to time. Film is making a comeback, but it's not exactly a cheap hobby. Brandon says, would you consider using some type of AI app or service to speak out your comments? It may go a bit faster for you. No, I'm just reading them. The only way to go faster is to just skip through and not, talk about what everybody's talking about. So I basically use people's comments to fill the time and answer questions, and people have questions about the game, kind of give them tips and whatever. Still doing my boosts, in case you're wondering. That's why I've got my phone off screen. Monkey Jim says, cool. I was hoping to complete my SRB challenge, but it was only 5 hours and I needed 10 for the challenge. Yeah, Sharon was saying it might be possible, but we'll see. I'm just doing my first 5 now, and it may be possible to get enough. I don't know. We'll see. If you do it exactly, maybe it's possible to get the 10. But Sharon said, Lady Sharon says, Monkey has mentioned before, if you have hardly any boost going right now, you could boost during the super rent boost and it counts. Should be able to time it just right to finish. Yeah, I think it's one of those things that if you do it just right, you could get all 10 in, like you were talking earlier. She goes on to say, unless you're in Europe and you already went through it. Brandon says, would you consider going on TikTok or Instagram? Nah, I got a gray beard. First of all, there's a lot of problems with TikTok these days. And TikTok, I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for this, especially from the younger generation, but I consider TikTok mind rot. And I've noticed it with my channel. It's like the younger generation just has this very short attention span. I've gotten called out in my videos because a 5-minute video is too long. They can't pay attention to a 5-minute video. And there's only so much you can go through on a topic in 5 minutes, right? So I got 6 of my SRB boosts done right there. Okay, so I should be able, fingers crossed, to get that done before the end of this SRB. But I'll report back. We'll talk about it next week probably. Lady Sharon says, okay, well, there's another super rent boost in a few days. Just to get the most of it, make sure that you're all almost out of... yeah, that's a good point. Before a super rent boost happens, if you do have a SRB challenge up, then it makes sense to go through all your boost and have multiple boosts to do when that SRB starts, if that makes sense. So it gives you credit for it. Jim says, no, I didn't realize it was a short SRB, so I had almost full boost when the SRB started, so I'm out of luck. Next SRB is in a few days, so I will just need to wait. Yeah, it's all right. You're still getting SRB money. It's all good. It's all good in the neighborhood. Commander Eddie says, are we getting the super rent boost at 1 p.m. because of the Super Bowl? Maybe because of the shorter month? Does anyone know? It's for the Super Bowl. In case you all don't know, let me show you this. Atlas Earth has an official Discord, and once in a while, when something goes on, Annalise will post a message in the announcement section. We haven't been getting a lot of updates lately because there hasn't been a lot of stuff going on in the game, but she did post this, and this was posted 2 days ago or so, and it gives the details. And of course, the timing on it is different depending upon where you are in the world, right? But she has been good at posting some messages when she has some news to put out. So if you haven't become a member of the official Atlas Earth server, and she puts these in the announcement section. So kudos to her for keeping up on that. I just wish there was more real news for the game as far as the changes that are going to happen in the game this year, hopefully. Fingers crossed. Skip Info says, hey, Bronze, I want to know how many parcels are you at and what's your game plan now that you have reached the 2x multiplier? Well, let's go back. I wish this could just default to dark mode because I don't use I use dark mode whenever I can. For those of you who sit in front of a screen, I for my work, I sit in front of multiple screens on a daily basis. Having white screens just burns my eyes, so I keep dark mode on. But either way, the answer to your question is 1,890 at this point. And I am buying parcels and keeping a little bit of a cushion of Atlas bucks to buy parcels to work my way through the challenges. That's my plan. And I'm really only I'm buying them in groups of 10, 15, 20, 25, mostly because I have to drive to where I want to buy parcels to, in this case, for the beginning of this year, reinforce the mayorships I have. Excuse me. And I'm not going to drive over there just to buy one parcel, if you know what I mean. I'll buy at least 10 parcels if I drive somewhere. But in a lot of cases, 10, 15, 25. But I'm keeping a cushion of Atlas bucks ready to go to specifically do the buy parcel challenges to advance my way through the challenge ladder on a monthly basis. And then if I get through the challenge ladder on a monthly basis and I still have a decent amount of Atlas bucks, then I'll buy 5 or 10 here or there, right? But I also want to keep some Atlas bucks in reserve for the next month when it starts, so I can start the process over. Julie says, I try buying badges from cities whose mayors doesn't have many parcels. That's nice. That's nice. Give them a little bit of Atlas bucks. Big Rich says, Commander Eddie, the SRB is 5 hours today as a bonus for the Super Bowl. Eric says, lost my main mayorship. Oh, man, that I got a month ago by 40 parcels this week. Unfortunately, that mayorship is in another state 4 hours away. Wow, that's a long drive. Well, that's kind of one of those gambles you make when you get a mayorship that is far away from your house, right? Because if you lose it, you're probably not going to get it back unless there's a reason for you to go back over there, like work, or you have a family that lives over there or something. Then what I do is save up Atlas bucks, and the next time you go over there, retake it. But this time, retake it and give yourself a big cushion, because you can probably be sure that other person is going to come back for it. Monkey Jim says, I once pocket bought a legendary upgrade for 2,500 Atlas bucks. Sucked big time. Another time, I used $8 to buy Atlas bucks by mistake. Yeah, I mean, you got to be careful. Now, to be honest, early on, they didn't have that secondary screen there. Okay. It used to be you just bought it, you bought it, right? But a lot of people complained, and they usually have this secondary screen that pops up and says, are you sure you want it? Like in the Atlas buck conversions, you say, I want to buy some Atlas bucks, you click on it, and then it says, it comes to the number where you have to select how many. And then if you press that button again, well, you bought it like that. The LPU is the same kind of thing. It pops up. It's got a secondary window that says, are you sure you want to buy this? And you buy it. Well, guess what? It's on you. So it used to be, you know what I mean. Pay attention to what you're doing. Commander Eddie says, with the Muppets, many parents didn't like the Sabrina Carpenter joke about a kink. Yeah, I would say that is crossing the line a little bit. However, I will say this, that I think the Muppet Show coming back out, which really means hardly anything to kids today, what it is marketed at is people my age who saw the original Muppet Show. I think that's primarily who it's marketed at. So there are a lot of shows that we watched, cartoons and other shows as kids that had a lot of adult content in it, adult type jokes that we just didn't get as kids, right? So, and it didn't, and there's a lot of songs and stuff like that. You see all this stuff on social media where we didn't really get as kids. And a lot of these songs you singing for 50 years, and then you start thinking about what the words actually mean. Then you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be singing this in front of my kids or something like that, right? Same thing with shows. And there's a lot of cartoon shows that had a lot of adult humor mixed in. But I think that this show coming back is targeted at people in their late 40s through their 50s who saw the original one. So, I can see if somebody's showing their kids, they might be a little bit mad at that. But, that's also something, unless the parent said something about it, the kid probably is not going to pick up on. They're there for the Muppets and the jokes, right? So, Retro Cube says Pharaoh Silver just couldn't keep my attention. I guess my cup of tea is bronze. I talk with Pharaoh Silver quite often. He does have a different kind of take on things. He's more financial kind of thing. That's fine. Everybody's different. Everybody's got a different way of presenting things. If we were all the same, life would be very boring, right? So, but he and I talk on a daily basis or chat on Discord, and we've got some things going on. So, Monkey Jim says, wow, so many Atlas bucks for that game. In the UK, you're lucky to find a game that pays 100 Atlas bucks. I need to do a video about that, but there's a lot of variables there. And a lot of it comes down to marketing and advertising, right? But what I've noticed lately is that it also depends upon how you play the game and if you put any money into the games. I'm doing what I consider a test, because largely I haven't put any money into these other arcade games. I just play them for what they're worth. And what I've noticed is that over the years, since the since the arcade program has started, that the amount we're getting for these games has just went down and down and down. And then last year, they started instituting the 30, 60, 90 days that you have to play the games. And then a couple weeks ago, they actually took all the games away that didn't have any time limits from us, which is one of the things I was talking about. Could have been handled better, but I consider that just another cost-cutting thing that they've done this year. But yeah, there's a lot of different variables, and it all comes down to marketing, right? So, and at the end of the day, you just have to consider, is it worth your time? If it's not worth your time, go do something else. So that's why I'm looking at this other platform. And it's another one of these platforms. I'm not going to mention it by name. You'll see the episode come out. Just pay attention for it this week. I wanted to play it for, at least a week and kind of get the feel for it. Since there's not a lot going on in Atlas Earth right now, is looking at some other ways where I could bring more, maybe, to help my Atlas Earth progress. Since they've fully taken away the referral codes, looking at something else where I can start making off that way. So keep an eye out for that. Let's see here. Jim goes on to say, is it against the rules to have the same Atlas Earth account on 2 mobile devices? It should kick you out of the first mobile device. And say, for instance, you wanted to play a mini game on a tablet or something or other, then you could make sure you're logged out on the phone and logged on the tablet. It should kick you out if you try to log on to the game on a second device. Now, with that said, these devices have to be yours, okay? So the terms of service are very specific about it, saying that you don't want to log into your account on somebody else's phone or something like that, okay? So it's kind of a dual-parted answer. It's not against the rule to be on multiple devices, but you should only be in the game on one device at a time, and that device should be yours, okay? That's about the best answer I can give you there. Decave Dweller says, I've had games tell me that they can't pay me for, even though I've never downloaded it, but I continued playing the game anyway, and then eventually fixed itself and started playing the game, paying for me. Interesting. I've had some games. I've never had it work after they gave me that red message. But I've had games that didn't pay me for like one of the one of the goals, and then I kept playing, and it ended up paying me for another one. But then I had to go back and put a ticket for the other one. So I think if you do the SRB right when it starts, you would be able to do your 6, and then you'd be able to get 4 more. Yeah, hopefully. I'll report back on how it goes. Monkey Jim says, if you are the mayor of the area and you buy the badge, you get the 20 Atlas bucks from buying your own badge. Yes, as long as you're still mayor at midnight UTC. I think that's when it happens. You want to be mayor at that point in time. In other words, if you become mayor and you buy your badge and then somebody immediately takes it back over you an hour later before midnight, then you're not going to get that badge income. That person's going to get the badge income. Yeah, Jim goes on to say, so effectively the badge only costs you 180 bucks. Yeah. The Cave Dweller says, I've been binge watching Cheers myself. It's been quite a while. I used to watch Cheers back in the day. Been quite a while since I watched that, though. I've been watching some of the newer TV shows that Ted Danson's been doing. Pretty interesting. He's a pretty good actor. We just finished watching Hardcastle and McCormick. Now, that's a show I haven't watched in quite a while. Ramos says, are you getting 25% bombs? They all that? I don't know what you're talking about there, but I am at 101 badges, so I am getting 25% boost, if that's what you mean. Brandon says, would you consider getting a gaming racing wheel for racing games? I know they can be stupid pricey. I used to have a setup back in the day, maybe early 2000s. And I played an online game called Motor City Online. I love that game. You could buy old junkers out of the junkyard and soup them up, put different engines and drivetrains in them, and do different racetracks. And I love that. And EA bought the game and turned it off. That's why anytime I hear of a game being bought by EA, I'm like, oh, well, it's gone now. Lady Sharon says, I am going to wait a little bit in case there's a glitch, and then I will run one ad and make sure it counts. Tips and Tricks says, it would be nice if Atlas Earth gave more points for the games in Atlas Arcade for the players that have been banned from doing surveys. Well, I would say that it did. If you get banned from something, it definitely makes it harder overall. I would agree with that. Lady Sharon says, yeah, I don't like the damn thing defaults to converting all your money. It should default to $1 when you do convert. Yeah, but they did add the back arrow where you can press it back and it goes. These are all just game mechanics that are built from a perspective of being best for the company, right? You just have to take that into account. Obviously it's best for the company if you go in and you make the decision to convert all your money to Atlas bucks. Gaming Hippie says, SRB shows 5 hours. Did they nerf SRB or is it for the Super Bowl? It's for the Super Bowl. It's a special 5 hours. They have not taken away the other 2 usual 32 hours boosts this month. So it's just for the Super Bowl. Lady Sharon says, also, I am very, very nearsighted. I actually do not have to have correction, and the phone is about 5 inches from my face. I can see it clearly like that. I'm actually going to get up soon. I'm being lazy. Fidos says, I like that they do small things like putting up a short SRB, gives it a little bit of variation, the feeling that they do give something back to the community. Yeah. These things, they've made several good changes, like adding these extra SRBs, and which is all figured in. You can. This is marked under the marketing budget, right? So it's good. It's a good thing. Who doesn't like a little bit of extra SRB money, right? And it looks good on the company, like you said. So they've been having some not so good kind of PR, and they're offsetting it with some good PR, right? Brandon says, do gaming controllers work well with gaming laptops like Alienwares and Predators? I don't have any experience with the PS3 controller, but on my computer, which would, I just use a PC, I don't use a laptop, but you could use I've got a Xbox 360 controller from my old 360 that I use that works just fine. Um, so you will have to have a little adapter that accepts the signal, but you can buy a signal for an Xbox controller and use it with your laptop if you want. Jim asks, when are landmarks coming? And my screen needs to be refreshed because for some reason I lost the signal from YouTube. Hopefully everything comes back. Okay, so Jim asked, when are landmarks coming to Atlas Earth? When is the skin getting upgraded? Soon. Coming soon. No further knowledge. What we know now is that landmarks are coming soon, which we've known for 2 years, and that the new UI is being tested in South Africa currently. If you're in South Africa, let us know how it's going. I know there's a couple people on here that are living in South Africa, so let us know how it's going. Brandon says, have you seen the latest episode from the Atlas game on Castronaut YouTube channel? Probably. I've been trying to keep up on them. The Cave Dweller says, I seen a scary ad for a lockpicker that even teaches you how to use it. I saw one for, I saw one for this week a few times. That is why I don't show ads on my screen on live stream, because it was about a new kinky fetish BDSM app. And I had no idea why I'm getting that, but James is here. Hello to you as well. Brandon says, hey, BD, have you played the Sony PSP and the Vita? I have not. I've seen them, but I never had one back in the day. The Buzz Lightyear movie had a lot of hate because it had its first lesbian kiss. Yeah, I'm not worried about all that. The golden rule. Treat everyone as you would like to be treated yourself. The investor says, is it me or when you simulate or do it for real that you add a free badge to the AE calculator, no calculations are triggered? Well, I would, if you're coming up and the math is not registering, I'd just refresh the page. But if you just add one badge, unless that badge takes you over a level, it's not going to change anything. So in other words, if I add a badge at 101, it's not going to do anything. If I'm at, say, 5, and then I go to 6, it's not going to do anything until I hit 11, right? And hit that next. Anyway, that's the idea. So just adding one badge is not going to change your your math, unless you go above the next limit to get to the next percentage rate, right? So it's like 1, 11, 31, and then whatever's after that, all the way to 101. Jim says, do you know how landmarks will work? Will they just give rent like normal parcels, or will they give any means of making money or Atlas bucks? Well, we haven't heard a whole lot about them lately. When they did talk about them in the middle of last year sometime, they said that we know that and we've been talking about this for a long time, but they will go up and you will be able to bid on them for Atlas bucks. The person that has the highest bid in Atlas bucks will get them. It will be a permanent one. In other words, somebody will not take it over as like they can the mayor. And then there will be a separate badge that when people come to that landmark, they can buy that badge, and then you will get a percentage of the badge. And they haven't stated what that percentage, well, whether it'll be the standard 20 off of it or what. They haven't given any details. That is all we really know at this point, right? So we don't know when it's going live. It's my take that this has just turned This is an idea they came up with very early, and it's turned into a monstrosity of a program to actually do the development of. That's just my take. I don't know. I don't have any in with them, but from a development standpoint, the only reason I can think of that it would be taking this long is it's just there's been so many variables that came up that they didn't originally think of. That's made this a lot harder to actually go live than what we originally thought, or they originally thought, right? So no further news on that. And the only thing I've heard about as far as the way to make money off of it is people buying badges there. Van is here, says, hey, Chad, I've been in the U.S. from Scotland for over a month now, and I have to say the boost chart and the 2AB ads are so nice. Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. You'll probably, you'll be glad to go back home, but you'll hate losing that, right? The Cave Dweller says, has Annalise put together that dictionary yet? I don't know what you're talking about. Jim says, how will you be able to buy landmarks via auction? It'll be an auction. And the auction, that's the secondary part of the landmarks going live. There will be a new system for auctions going live. And there's been no further information on what that auction system can be used for other than buying landmarks, right? So there's a possibility that they could auction off land. I don't know. Since they took away the possibility of selling your land, you know, these are all questions up in the air and they're providing no answers, right? So my best guess is just to, if they put out another live stream, to watch it and see what Sami has to say, because otherwise all I'm doing is talking about, and you know, I know there's people that come on, they're relatively new to the game and haven't heard this, but we've been talking about this for 2 years now. Brandtastic says crypto and stocks payouts. Yeah, wouldn't hold your breath on that. I noticed crypto has been going lately. Yeah, crypto is constantly fluctuating. So, do you have to be at the location to bid on it, or can anyone bid on the landmark even if they aren't in the location? I don't have that answer, and I have not heard them talk about that. That's always been kind of one of the variables that they haven't listed an answer for. The Cave Dweller says, she said she was working or would be working on an Atlas Earth dictionary to define SRB and other terms. Yeah, I haven't heard anything. So, well, we are at the end of our hour and a half. I want to thank you for stopping by episode 47 of the Sunday afternoon sessions where we talk about Atlas Earth. So I hope everyone is doing well on your side and you're happy and healthy and getting the 2026 started off well. Once again, thanks for supporting the channel, liking, subscribing, all that jazz. And I hope you have a good week. I ran out of things to say. This has been Bronze Dragon, and I will see you in Atlas Earth.